Uh-oh.
In her last two fights. Good way hitting him from that way down.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. What is intended to be Lynn Sandstorm's shot at the big time, her crack at the apple, her chance to become a champion opposite the ring, Argentina's own reigning WBA champion, Clara Lescurat, on the undercard of Nikita Zhu's next fight.
Nikita Zhu, the younger brother of Tim Zhu.
It's all set to go down next week on Wednesday, the 24th. Lynn Sandstorm will attempt to pry the WBA title away from the champion, Clara Lescurat, and this is a tough assignment.
Lynn is 32, whereas Clara's 35.
Lynn Sandstorm sports a professional record of 8 wins with 2 losses, 2 draws, 2 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 12 professional contests. To Clara Lescurat, the reigning champion, who sports an unblemished record of 10 wins with no losses, no draws, 4 recorded knockouts.
One of 4 champions at this weight.
Last in action opposite the ring, Regina Chavez, who she won a decision against. That was back in February. In that way, Clara has seen action within the last 12 months and has no ring rust to shake off. Neither does Lynn Sandstorm. They are both more or less on the same schedule. Lynn was last in action in January of this year. Before that, she was in action in May of last year.
They're on the same time.
Lynn saw action in January, Clara saw action in February. Now they are both about to return to action opposite the ring each other. And being honest with you, while I like Lynn Sandstorm, and I think there's something there,
Something good?
it's too soon for this fight. She's too rough around the edges. She's not ready. She's not ready to take the WBA title away from Clara Lescurat. I think she's gonna lose.
What do you mean she's not ready? She's got more pro fights than Clara does.
You often hear me say that there's more to boxing than what you see on paper, and just because Lynn has more fights than Clara does on paper, that doesn't mean she has the same ceiling as Clara, the same ability. Lynn Sandstorm has very generous physical dimensions for a super flyweight. She's tall, she's got some length, got some strength.
But her mechanics are a bit off.
Showing the jab, but still being very scrappy and very messy when stepping into it, coming forward, ending up in clinches.
She's not put together.
Whereas Clara Lescurat, the champion Clara, comparatively, she is more fluid in her form, comfortable coming forward or moving backwards, managing the distance at which the fight is being fought, giving herself enough room to throw without smothering her own work, overshooting the distance, stepping too far on the inside. Clara's got good hands and good feet.
Unlike Lynn Sandstorm.
You see, if she's stepping into the jab and she's constantly getting tangled up in the other girl's arms, it's because she's overshooting the distance. You're stepping too far on the inside. So far, you ain't giving yourself no room to throw.
She's coming forward. She seems frenzied, panicked.
Not poised and not controlled. Whenever Lynn Sandstorm can get a clean punch out, clean punch off, yeah, there's some mustard on that hot dog, there is, but a lot of the time, it's just very chippy and messy.
Up until something big lands.
Whereas with Clara, what you see is more consistent, more coordinated, more clean.
And impactful.
Argentinian fighters' reputation for having a strong punch and a lot of durability.
That's Clara.
I think Clara Lescurat is far too put together for Lynn Sandstorm. I think she's too good. And unfortunately for the Aussie, the belt's not changing hands. I don't think it will. Short of a flash knockout, a miracle punch. I just do not see Lynn Sandstorm winning this fight. The Aussies have had it rough the last 2 weeks or so. Good number of their fighters biting the big one in big situations. Michael Zarafa getting knocked out by Lara.
Yeah.
Tim Tszyu in his shock upset loss to Sebastian Fundoria.
Liam Wilson's knockout loss to Oscar Valdez.
Very recently, Australia's own Sky Nicholson broke the chain and became WBC featherweight champion opposite the ring former champion Sarah Mahfoud.
She did it.
There are a good number of other Aussie fighters that are set to be vying for alphabet titles. Shernika Johnson against Nina Hughes. Jayo Pataya against Mayra Spridis. And what is their rematch for the vacant IBF title?
And of course, Lynn.
Lynn Sandstorm. And of all the Aussie fighters that are set to be vying for alphabet titles, full titles in the near future, it's Lynn.
If it's gonna go sideways for any of them, it's gonna go sideways for Lynn.
Now, I said Sky Nicholson would beat Sarah Mahfoud. I said Sky would become WBC champion. I think Shernika Johnson can beat Nina Hughes. I think she can become WBA bantamweight champion. And Jayo Pataya, I think Jai's got more than enough to beat today's Mayra Spridis. But when it comes to Lynn, I just don't think it's going to work out. Not for her.
Glada's too good, too put together.
Her fight mechanics are just better. I anticipate if Glada doesn't knock her out, she wins a clear decision.
Yeah, Lynn Sandstorm may have home field advantage, but even home field advantage can only get you so far. You still have to make it close, and I don't think Lynn Sandstorm can.
So I'm going with Glada Lescurat to remain WBA Super Flyweight Champion next week in Australia on the undercard of Nikita Tszyu's next fight. I think Glada's going to keep the belt. Men's heavyweight news ahead of what is to be the Matchroom vs. Queensberry show in June. Deontay Wilder admits that he lost the love and passion and hunger for boxing as he announced the Zhang fight.
He lost it. Has he gotten it back?
Wilder says he has rediscovered his passion for boxing after confronting struggles in and outside of the ring. Wilder will meet Zhilei Chang in Saudi Arabia on June 1st as part of the Matchroom vs. Queensberry Promotions 5-for-5 event, and the former long-reigning WBC heavyweight champion admits that the contest with Zhang is make or break for his career. Wilder is 43.
He's got 43 wins with 3 losses, 1 draw, 42 knockouts, and the 38-year-old is coming off a wide points decision loss to Joseph Parker in December.
With Joseph Parker, he seemed gun-shy, afraid to let his hands go with Joseph Parker. Is he going to let his hands go with an even bigger puncher and a bigger man in Zhilei Chang?
The unlikely pairing.
They were throwing around the idea that Wilder might fight Chang a few months ago. It was ill-advised then.
It's still ill-advised now.
What is an even more unlikely pairing in Deontay Wilder and Eddie Hearn?
You and Eddie working together. Yeah. Incredible. You're fighting for Matchroom, Deontay. Who would have thought?
I know, you know.
Yeah, he is, but he doesn't seem at all elated about it, happy about it.
You know, sometimes, you know, as you go through life brings about changes. Even if you don't like a person, you learn how to deal with them throughout life. You learn how to deal with them through business, you know, and you learn how to coexist with them.
His words, he is more coexisting with Eddie Hearn in this endeavor rather than working with him. He makes up part of Eddie Hearn's team as a wild card selection because each promotional stable was allowed to use one fighter not contracted to them. I feel good, Wilder said. No one thought me and Eddie would work together, so this is the ultimate surprise right here. Then talking about the Saudi Arabian influence in boxing, Wilder said, they've rearranged and changed the way boxing is done, and I'm looking for that acting career afterwards. You don't have to get hit.
Contemplating retirement, maybe.
If he is, and he's contemplating life beyond boxing and what he means to do afterwards, what brought him back? Why is he here? Why hasn't he retired?
Money.
Not that Deontay's hard up for money so much as the Saudis are offering him so much. How could he not take them up on their offer?
It's the only reason I think he fought Joseph last year.
I'm convinced that Deontay Wilder was prepared to sit out all of last year up until the Saudis offered him all that cash to fight Joseph Parker, which, at least in part, reanimated him.
Long enough to get paid.
Though not enough to win. I respect Zhang. He's a good fighter, but it's my time, Wilder added. I'm breaking it down, and come the night of the fight, we will see if I've still got it or not. I'm seeing this as my last stand.
What?
Wilder revealed that he had lost his love, passion, and hunger for the sport, but added, "Here I am. I'm not playing around this time. I feel like I've got nothing to lose this time, only to gain."
When would he have lost his love, his passion for the sport? Because we weren't hearing stuff like this ahead of the Robert Helenius fight.
I have no doubt in my mind that the last two Tyson Fury fights left a bad taste in Deontay Wilder's mouth. Bad enough that may have caused him to lose his love and passion for the sport, maybe. But ahead of the Robert Helenius fight that followed, we weren't hearing stuff like this.
No.
And immediately afterwards, when he knocked him out in one round, we weren't hearing this kind of talk. It seemed like Deontay Wilder was back.
So what happened?
Deontay Wilder's longtime friend and trainer, Malik Scotch, said that Deontay had embarked on a spiritual journey that required him to eat psychedelic shiitake mushrooms.
They're not shiitake mushrooms.
Psychedelic mushrooms of some kind. A spiritual journey often referred to as ayahuasca. It's supposed to bring you closure, peace of some kind for what could be an internal turmoil, something that you may be experiencing.
Wilder must have found that peace.
So oftentimes, the visceral conflict within an individual in this sport is what makes them such a good fighter. That fire in the belly.
If you put it out.
Wilder's been a boxer for a long time. He debuted as a professional in 2008. He's got over 40 fights, irrespective of psychedelic mushrooms and spiritual journeys. In a very general sense, it's possible that he feels he's had enough.
After that amount of time and that amount of fights,
He maybe doesn't want to do this anymore. Though if he's still doing it,
it's because of the money.
it's only because the Saudis are paying him so much money to fight on, to continue to fight, even though underneath it all, he really doesn't want to.
The same as last year.
With a little bit of help from a few people, we made them believers in the plan and the concepts. Only one fight, one night. But hopefully it could be more beyond that. And I think my move to make him captain was just to double down of that belief in him, because I really believe one thing, that people underestimate what a promoter can add to you as a fighter. Not just in terms of your profile, but just that belief, like feeling like you're a star, you know, pumping your chest out while someone's standing there going, this guy is the man. And he's never had that. He's never had a promoter. And he's always been the one, I'm this bomb squad, blah, 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 blah. And like when I sat down with him yesterday before the presser, I said, I want you to know I picked you because I believe in you and I think you're a dangerous guy. I think you're a great heavyweight. I think you're going to bounce back. He was like, okay. You know, and I'm mucking around in front of the cameras, going through the whole team. And I see when I'm saying, now this guy, and I'm looking over and he's like, you know, don't underestimate the power of what that can do. Giving him the captaincy was just to double down on that. I need to give my captaincy to the person, it's double points. The one I really believe is going to win. It's you. Yeah, you know? So, yeah, just a weird turn of events.
Weird turn of events that could lead to the long-awaited, long-anticipated Anthony Joshua fight. Because if Deontay Wilder takes care of business in June, maybe he can meet Anthony Joshua in September, as soon as September.
Anthony's gonna need somebody to
He
fight.
seems to be waiting out the winner of the Fury versus Usyk fight, but the Fury versus Usyk fight may turn out to be a 2-fight engagement. He has to see what happens with that, and depending on what happens with that, he may not get a crack at the winner, not straight away. And if he doesn't, who does he fight?
He could fight the winner of Hrgovic versus Dubois.
Or he could fight Deontay Wilder. If Deontay Wilder wins and he beats Zhang, Deontay, who says he's 90% sure that the AJ fight will still happen.
It can.
If he wins, the desire to see it from the fight fans, it's still there.
Still commercially viable.
It's still a big fight. And the desire to see it is still there, but I'd wager that so are the hard feelings.
In the name of business, maybe Eddie Hearn is willing to bury the hatchet.
Maybe he is, but with Wilder, I'm not so sure.
It's crazy. And I just feel sorry for the fighters that's under their stable, you know what I mean? Because that is his true mindset, to be a slave master. And like I've said it before, that's another thing I've told him during the Joshua the negotiation stuff. I said them slave masters. And you know, and I guarantee you that family was slave masters at one point in time. I guarantee you it.
This is what Deontay Wilder thought and likely still thinks about Eddie Hearn, the man he has now gone into business with.
Do I think that all of a sudden his opinion on Eddie has changed? No.
I just think that Deontay Wilder is a very disingenuous person and that he's two-faced, kind of like how, he said all that stuff about Tyson Fury, accusing him of being a cheater and all these different things, just so that when he was faced with him...
Bomb squad! Bomb squad!
Good
round 4, guys? Round 4!
Bless.
Deontay, round 4? With Tyson?
Almost happened.
No, I wasn't expecting a feud or a fight to break out, that Deontay should sock Tyson Fury outside of the ring. I'm just saying it was a disingenuous display that you've got all these negative things to say about this guy to whoever's willing to listen, but when he's in front of you, the energy is not the same.
Could be the same with this.
You thought that Eddie Hearn was some kind of a slave master? Based on how he handles his fighter, Anthony Joshua has always had more autonomy than Deontay Wilder, more control over his career.
And more success.
You were Al Heyman's puppet, Al Heyman's slave, up until recently. Al Heyman costed you a lot of money, and you're quite fortunate that the Saudis have taken interest in you, because if not for that...
Who advised Deontay Wilder to turn down that $100 million for the Anthony Joshua fight? What was the undisputed title fight? Who advised him to turn down all that DAZN money? Who do you think?
Who fired Lou DiBellia for even setting up that meeting between Team Wilder and DAZN to do the AJ fight? Who do you think?
Al Heyman is the slave master.
He always was, but that's another story. Do I think that Deontay Wilder's feelings towards Eddie have dramatically changed? Not really.
No.
There is an opportunity there to make several big fights, not just one. Wilder takes care of business against Zhang. You could put him in the ring with Dillian Veit. That could be a very big fight in Saudi. That could be a very big fight in the UK. Maybe even in the US.
And of course, the Anthony Joshua fight.
There's an opportunity there for Wilder, but I don't know if he sees it, because he's outside of what's familiar. He is outside of his comfort zone. And some people, when you take them out their comfort zone, they grow.
Others, they shrink.
They can't be who they have been, who they were, because things are too unfamiliar, strange, and new, and they don't like it.
I think we saw that late last year when Wilder fought Joseph Parker.
Deontay looked uncomfortable. He looked like a guy, he didn't really want to be in there. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to fight, but they were paying him so much money to do it. How could he not? And the situation may be the same here. And now, he doesn't really like Eddie Hearn. He doesn't really want to work with him, but they're paying him so much money.
He'll play ball.
He'll make nice, just long enough for the check to clear, long enough for him to get paid. It could be that way. I mean, he's talking about
acting,
a potential acting career. He's saying this could be his last stand.
He says that's how he views this.
I don't begrudge Deontay contemplating what he might do after boxing, that he might take up acting, but that's really not what you want to hear ahead of a fight that is already made against a very dangerous opponent.
Deontay will be lucky if he can finish this fight on his feet.
With some luck. Luck is best described as when preparation meets opportunity, but does Deontay really view this as an opportunity? Working with Eddie.
Does he?
As bad as this all sounds, there is an avenue to the victory based on the stylistic matchup and who he's fighting, but I really don't know that Deontay is sharp enough or invested enough in what remains of his career to capitalize on it. That avenue.
I don't trust him.
I don't know if you do. There is a way to beat Zhang.
But can we trust Wilder to do it?